Once you know this secret, keep your mouth shut. What if I told you that the harder you try to control life, the more it slips away? Sometimes the most powerful action is no action at all. We spend our lives chasing results, forcing outcomes, stressing over timing, and doubting ourselves when things don't go our way. But what if the universe already knows exactly where you need to be? In this video, we'll explore why stepping back, doing absolutely nothing, can realign your life in ways that constant effort never could. This isn't about giving up, it's about trusting flow over force. Let go of control. We live in a world obsessed with control. Controlling our schedules, our emotions, our relationships, even our destinies. From the moment we wake up, our minds are already planning, adjusting, fixing, resisting. We're constantly trying to bend life to our expectations. Yet, ironically, the more we tighten our grip, the more things seem to slip through our fingers. Letting go of control doesn't mean becoming careless or passive. It means recognizing that not everything depends on you. It's an invitation to trust the deeper intelligence that guides life. The same intelligence that moves the tides, grows the trees, and beats your heart without your command. There is a natural rhythm to existence, and when we stop interfering, we begin to move with it instead of against it. Most of our suffering comes from resistance, the mental fight against what's already happening. We say, "It shouldn't be this way." And in that moment, we create tension within ourselves. Life doesn't cause the pain. Our demand that it be different does. Letting go of control is the art of releasing this demand. It's the quiet realization that what's unfolding is not a mistake. Imagine a river. When you try to swim upstream, you exhaust yourself. You may feel like you're making progress because you're exerting effort, but in truth, you're only fighting the current. When you let go and flow with it, everything becomes effortless. You still move, but without strain. Life works the same way. The universe already has a current. Your task is not to dominate it, but to learn its direction. Control is born from fear. The fear that if you don't act, everything will fall apart. But life doesn't need your panic, it needs your presence. The greatest transformations often happen not when we push harder, but when we finally stop trying to push at all. When you relax your grip, you allow space for grace, unseen forces, unexpected solutions, new possibilities that could never enter a clenched hand. Letting go is also an act of humility. It means admitting that your mind doesn't have all the answers, that there's a greater wisdom beyond your limited perspective. And in that humility, something magical happens. Your anxiety softens, your breath deepens, and life starts to cooperate with you again. You begin to see that things unfold not according to your plan, but according to a larger, more mysterious harmony. True power isn't in control, it's in connection, aligning yourself with the natural flow of events. When you let go, you don't lose control, you lose the illusion of control. And in return, you gain freedom, the freedom to experience life as it is, not as you think it should be. So breathe, trust. Stop fighting every wave. The moment you release your need to control everything, life begins to unfold in ways more beautiful than you could have ever designed. Surrender doesn't mean weakness. For most of us, the word surrender carries the taste of defeat. We imagine waving a white flag, giving up, or losing control. Yet in truth, surrender is not about weakness at all. It is about wisdom. It's the moment you stop exhausting yourself in a fight that never needed to happen. Surrender is not the same as quitting. Quitting is born from hopelessness, but surrender is born from understanding. It is the recognition that your constant struggle to make life fit your desires has become the very source of your suffering. When you surrender, you are not saying, "I don't care anymore." You're saying, I trust that there's a greater rhythm at work, one that doesn't need my interference. Think of a leaf floating on a stream. The leaf doesn't resist the water's direction. It simply rides the current, effortlessly finding its way. It doesn't argue with the rocks or try to change the path of the river. And yet it always ends up exactly where it's meant to be. That is surrender. We have been taught to fight for everything, to conquer, to dominate, to always win. But the universe doesn't reward control, it rewards harmony. Sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is to stop pushing and start allowing. Surrender invites life to move through you rather than around you. It turns chaos into flow. When you surrender, your mind softens. You begin to see that what's unfolding is not happening to you, but for you. Even pain, disappointment, or delay carries a hidden intelligence. Life often denies you something small, only to give you something far greater later on. But you can't see that while you're resisting. Surrender opens your vision. Alan Watts once said, "To let go is to be confident in the flow of life." When you let go, you are no longer a prisoner of your own expectations. You realize that life doesn't always need your plans to work. It simply needs your cooperation. Real strength lies in trust, in being able to stand in uncertainty without panic, in knowing that whatever happens next is part of a deeper unfolding. Surrender is also the bridge between anxiety and peace. When you surrender, you stop trying to control time. When things should happen, how people should behave, or what outcomes must appear, you allow the universe to rearrange itself in its own rhythm. And ironically, once you stop fighting, life begins to align effortlessly. So remember, surrender is not the end of action. It is the beginning of intelligent action. It is not defeat, it's divine alignment. It's not weakness, it's wisdom in motion. You don't drown by falling into the river. You drown by fighting against its current. Surrender, and the same water that once felt like chaos will gently carry you home. Energy aligns in stillness. In our modern world, stillness is rare. We are constantly moving, doing, thinking, planning, and worrying. We believe that action alone creates progress, yet often the more we rush, the further we drift from what we truly desire. There is a hidden principle of life that many overlook. Energy aligns in stillness. When we pause, when we allow silence and calm to enter, life itself begins to organize around us. Stillness is not laziness. It is not the absence of life or the denial of effort. Rather, it is the conscious decision to step back, to quiet the mind, and to let the natural currents of energy move without obstruction. Imagine a calm pond. Drop a stone into it, and the ripples spread outward. But the water must first be still for the ripples to reflect the sky perfectly. Similarly, our energy can only align when we stop stirring the surface with unnecessary noise, thoughts, or resistance. When you are constantly forcing outcomes, your energy fragments. You push in 10 directions at once, draining yourself, creating tension, and attracting obstacles. The more chaotic your mind, the more chaotic your results. But when you cultivate stillness, by meditating, observing, or simply breathing deeply, your inner energy begins to gather and focus. You are no longer scattering your power. You are concentrating it in a harmonious way that allows life to flow through you with precision. Stillness is also the doorway to clarity. When you pause and become present, subtle patterns emerge. Opportunities that were invisible in the rush of activity suddenly appear. Connections that seemed random now feel inevitable. Energy, when aligned, is like a magnet. It draws the right circumstances, people, and ideas toward you effortlessly. You begin to notice that things happen without struggle, that answers arise when you least expect them, and that solutions reveal themselves when you are simply present to receive them. Alan Watts often emphasized the importance of non-doing. The idea that the universe operates best when we step out of the way of our own interference. Stillness is a form of intelligent non-action. It is not passive resignation, but active alignment. By being still, you allow your energy to resonate with the larger rhythms of life. You stop resisting and start creating with forces far greater than your conscious mind. In practice, stillness can be as simple as sitting quietly for a few minutes each day, observing your thoughts without judgment, and letting the tension in your body dissolve. It can be found in mindful walking, listening to music, or simply noticing the sensations of the present moment. Each pause you take is a step toward aligning your inner energy with the flow of the universe. Ultimately, the magic of life is not in constant action, but in moments of stillness. When you allow your energy to settle, the universe mirrors that calm, bringing clarity, synchronicity, and effortless progress. Life begins to unfold naturally, and you realize that doing less often accomplishes far more than doing more. Force creates resistance. One of the most subtle but powerful truths of life is this: the more we try to force things, the more resistance we encounter. From the outside, it seems logical: push harder, control tighter, demand faster results. Yet life is not a machine to be operated. It is a living, breathing flow that responds to tension, not to force. Imagine trying to push a heavy boulder up a hill. Every ounce of strength you exert meets equal or greater resistance from gravity. You grow tired, frustrated, and exhausted. Now imagine gently guiding the boulder along a natural path, letting the terrain help you, adjusting rather than fighting. The effort is minimal, and the progress far more fluid. Life works the same way. Force is effort against the natural order. It provokes pushback and often creates unnecessary struggle. Force emerges from fear. Fear that life won't give you what you want. Fear that opportunities will slip away. Fear that without constant effort, you will be left behind. But resistance is life's gentle reminder that control is an illusion. Every time you push too hard against a situation, whether it's a relationship, a career, or even your own thoughts, life pushes back. This is not punishment, it is guidance. The universe shows you where your energy is being misapplied, where your insistence creates friction instead of flow. Alan Watts often spoke about the principle of effortless effort. The idea is simple but profound. When you move with life rather than against it, resistance disappears. Water does not struggle to reach the ocean. It flows around obstacles, bends with the current, and eventually arrives at its destination without unnecessary force. Similarly, when you release the need to dominate outcomes, life begins to move smoothly in your favor. Resistance also appears in our inner world. When we force ourselves to feel a certain way, make decisions quickly, or control our emotions, tension arises within. Our minds and bodies resist because we are denying the natural rhythm of our being. Yet when we pause, observe, and allow, inner energy aligns. Thoughts settle, emotions stabilize. The path forward becomes clear without a single push. This is not to say we should be passive or careless. Force has its moments, but it should be intentional, not born from anxiety or desperation. True power comes from knowing when to act and when to let life act for you. By releasing unnecessary effort, we conserve energy, reduce stress, and open ourselves to opportunities that never appeared in the frantic struggle. In essence, forcing is like trying to command the wind. You may feel temporary control, but the wind always finds its way. Resistance is a signal to align, adjust, and surrender. When you stop forcing, you stop resisting. And in that stillness, in that alignment, life flows effortlessly. Doors open, obstacles dissolve, and progress comes naturally. Observe, don't react. Life moves fast. People speak, events unfold, emotions surge, and circumstances shift. In the rush of daily living, our instinct is to react immediately, to push back, defend ourselves, or try to fix things right away. Yet the art of living wisely lies not in reacting, but in observing. When you pause and watch life without rushing to respond, a new dimension of clarity emerges. Observation is not indifference. It is attentiveness. It is a deliberate choice to see things as they are, not as you wish them to be. When you react impulsively, you are guided by fear, anger, or desire, by temporary impulses that rarely reflect the bigger picture. But when you observe, you allow the full context to reveal itself. You begin to notice patterns, connections, and underlying truths that are invisible in the heat of immediate reaction. Alan Watts often spoke about the principle of detachment without disengagement. You can fully engage with life without being pulled into every wave of disturbance. Observation creates space between stimulus and response. This space is where freedom lives. In that pause, you can choose not to escalate conflict, not to make decisions born of stress, and not to project your fears onto situations that are beyond your control. Consider the mind as a clear lake. When a stone is thrown in, ripples disturb the surface. If you immediately react, you create more ripples, more disturbance, until the water is chaotic. But if you simply watch the ripples, allowing them to settle naturally, the lake becomes calm again. Observation stabilizes the mind, reduces inner friction, and aligns your energy with the natural flow of life. Observing also trains patience. Not every problem needs immediate solving. Not every insult requires a response. And not every uncertainty must be confronted. Life has a way of resolving itself when we give it room. By simply witnessing events without reaction, you allow solutions, insights, and opportunities to emerge organically, often in ways far more elegant than anything forced. Moreover, observing fosters self-awareness. You notice your triggers, your habitual responses, and the emotional patterns that have controlled your life. Awareness is power. Once you see your tendencies clearly, you can choose conscious responses rather than automatic reactions. This is the essence of letting go of control, understanding that life unfolds according to its own rhythm, and your role is not to dominate it, but to harmonize with it. Ultimately, observing without reacting is a practice of trust. Trust in the universe, in the natural unfolding of events, and in your own capacity to respond wisely when necessary. It is the gentle art of allowing life to flow, while remaining fully present, fully conscious, and fully aligned with the deeper currents that guide existence. In this stillness of observation, energy aligns, clarity emerges, and the unnecessary struggles of reaction dissolve. You discover that life, when watched rather than forced, becomes effortless, harmonious, and profoundly beautiful. Detachment attracts flow. Life has a curious way of resisting our clinging. The more we grasp, the more it slips. We often mistake attachment for care, effort, or commitment. Yet in reality, attachment is the source of tension, frustration, and stagnation. To truly move with life, we must practice detachment, not in the sense of indifference or apathy, but as a conscious release of expectation and control. Paradoxically, it is detachment that allows the natural flow of life to reach us fully. Detachment does not mean abandoning responsibility. It does not mean ignoring your goals, relationships, or passions. Instead, it means letting go of the emotional weight that comes from demanding outcomes. When you are detached, you pursue without clinging, act without desperation, and dream without fear. You engage fully, yet remain unbound by the illusion that the universe must bend to your will. Imagine holding a handful of sand. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it slips through your fingers. But if you let the sand rest lightly in your hand, it stays stable and present. Life works the same way. When you grasp, you create friction. When you release, the natural rhythm of events flows toward you. Detachment is that gentle release, the soft hand that invites abundance rather than pushing it away. Alan Watts often described life as a dance, a play of energies, constantly moving, constantly changing. When you are attached, you resist the dance, trying to dictate every step. When you detach, you join the dance, moving with grace, timing, and harmony. In this alignment, flow is inevitable. Opportunities, ideas, and relationships that once felt elusive now arrive effortlessly. Detachment also creates clarity. When you are not emotionally tied to every outcome, you can see situations as they truly are. You are no longer clouded by fear, desire, or judgment. Instead, you observe, respond, and move with intelligence. Your energy is not scattered in worry or resistance. It is concentrated in calm, purpose, and openness. This concentrated energy attracts the right circumstances and people toward you naturally, the universe responding to your alignment rather than your demand. Furthermore, detachment allows resilience. Life is unpredictable, and attachment binds us to disappointment. When we are detached, we accept change gracefully. We flow with challenges instead of breaking against them. We understand that loss, delay, or unexpected turns are not punishments, but part of a larger unfolding, a rhythm we can ride rather than resist. Ultimately, detachment is not passive. It is the active cultivation of freedom, presence, and trust. By releasing control and expectation, we create a space where life itself can move, guide, and support us. Energy begins to align, synchronicities appear, and the world seems to conspire in your favor. Not because you forced it, but because you allowed yourself to flow with it. In learning to detach, we discover a profound truth. The less we hold on, the more life holds us. Patience is magnetic in a world that values speed, instant results, and constant activity. Patience often feels like a forgotten art. Yet, patience is one of the most powerful forces in life. It is not passive waiting or idle resignation. It is an active, magnetic quality that draws the right people, opportunities, and circumstances toward you. When you cultivate patience, you align yourself with the natural rhythm of the universe, allowing life to unfold in its perfect timing. Patience is the opposite of forcing. When we are impatient, we try to make things happen before they are ready. We rush processes, push people, and create unnecessary tension. This hurried energy is visible to the universe. It repels rather than attracts. In contrast, patience carries a calm confidence. It signals that you trust the unfolding of events, that you understand that life's timing is wiser than your own. And this trust itself becomes magnetic, drawing what you need to you effortlessly. Alan Watts often emphasized that life is a flow, not a sequence of rigid steps. Like a river that carves valleys over centuries, progress often happens slowly, quietly, and imperceptibly. Yet each small moment accumulates into transformation. Patience allows you to experience this flow. It teaches you that missing pieces, delays, and setbacks are not obstacles, but integral parts of the unfolding process. By embracing them, you create a space where life can deliver results naturally. Patience also cultivates clarity. When you are impatient, your mind is clouded with anxiety and desire. You see only what you want, and you often overlook opportunities that don't fit your immediate expectations. But when you are patient, you observe with calm attention. You notice subtleties, patterns, and connections that impatient minds often miss. This awareness enhances decision-making, deepens relationships, and aligns your actions with the natural current of life. Moreover, patience is a form of inner strength. It requires self-control, trust, and humility. You resist the urge to act out of fear or impulse, choosing instead to wait for the right time. This restraint is magnetic because it communicates confidence and balance. People and circumstances are drawn to energy that is steady, composed, and aligned with the flow of life. Finally, patience transforms your relationship with time. Instead of feeling trapped by deadlines, delays, or uncertainty, You begin to experience life as a continuous unfolding. Each moment, each pause, and each quiet interval becomes meaningful. Patience teaches you that progress is not always visible immediately, but accumulates in ways that can surpass your expectations. In essence, patience is not waiting, it is the art of aligning with life's natural rhythm. It is trusting that what is meant for you will arrive at the right time, and that by releasing urgency and control, you invite synchronicity and flow. The more patient you become, the more life begins to respond. Energy aligns, opportunities emerge, and the universe seems to conspire in your favor, not through force, but through the magnetic calm of presence. In the quiet strength of patience, you discover a profound truth. The longer you wait wisely, the more life is drawn to you effortlessly. Silence is action. In a world obsessed with constant noise, communication, and visible effort, silence is often misunderstood. Many believe that to be effective, one must speak, act, or prove themselves continually. Yet silence, when embraced consciously, is not inaction. It is a form of powerful action. It is a deliberate, intelligent engagement with life that allows energy to align, wisdom to emerge, and influence to manifest effortlessly. Silence is the space where reflection and clarity are born. When we speak or act impulsively, we are often driven by emotion, habit, or fear. Words can inflame situations, actions can push against the natural flow, and intentions can become distorted. But when we remain silent, we allow life itself to respond. We observe without interference, we listen without judgment, and we create space for truth to reveal itself. In this sense, silence is not emptiness. It is full of awareness, presence, and potential. Alan Watts often highlighted the paradox of non-doing, the idea that true power lies in letting go of forced effort. Silence is a practical expression of this principle. By holding back immediate reactions, arguments, or attempts to control outcomes, you create a space where the unseen forces of life can operate freely. The universe, much like a perfectly tuned instrument, responds to stillness and alignment rather than noise and pressure. Silence also strengthens influence. When you speak less and observe more, your words gain weight. People listen more attentively because they sense your calm presence, your confidence, and your alignment with reality. Silence communicates trust in yourself and in the unfolding of events. It is a statement that you do not need to prove or control everything. Life will handle what it must, and you are in harmony with that process. Furthermore, silence is a form of internal action. It allows your mind to process, your energy to settle, and your intentions to crystallize. In moments of silence, your inner guidance becomes clearer. Solutions that were invisible in the chaos of constant activity begin to emerge. Opportunities, people, and circumstances often appear at the perfect moment, as if drawn by the quiet power you carry within. There is also a subtle courage in silence. It is easier to speak, to react, to assert oneself. Remaining silent requires trust, patience, and confidence. It requires faith that your presence alone can influence outcomes, and that forcing events is unnecessary. This courage, invisible yet palpable, often moves mountains in ways that words and frantic actions cannot. Ultimately, silence is a profound form of engagement. It is not withdrawal from life, but a deeper participation in its rhythms. By choosing silence, you align with the flow of existence, conserve energy, and allow the universe to act through you. You discover that sometimes the most powerful action is not what you do, but what you allow. In silence, you realize a profound truth. The less you push, the more life moves. And your quiet presence is the catalyst for everything to fall perfectly into place. Trust the unfolding life is a mysterious journey, full of twists, turns, and surprises. Often, we struggle because we are trying to control the sequence of events, demanding that things happen according to our timetable and understanding. Yet, the deeper truth is this: life unfolds according to a rhythm far greater than our perception. And the key to harmony lies in trusting the unfolding. Trusting the unfolding does not mean passivity or apathy. It does not mean resigning yourself to circumstances or avoiding action. Instead, it is an active surrender, a conscious choice to let the natural order of life guide you. It is the understanding that the universe has a way of arranging circumstances, opportunities, and lessons perfectly, even when we cannot see the pattern. When you trust this process, anxiety fades, impatience dissolves, and energy flows freely toward what truly matters. Alan Watts often described life as a dance, a rhythm we cannot fully dictate, yet one we can join with grace. When we insist on controlling every step, we stumble and exhaust ourselves. But when we trust the unfolding, we move in harmony with the flow, stepping lightly, responding with awareness, and letting events guide our pace. This trust is not blind faith. It is the recognition that effort is not synonymous with control, and that forcing outcomes often creates more resistance than it resolves. Trusting the unfolding also requires patience. Life does not always deliver what we want when we want it. Opportunities may appear delayed, relationships may shift unexpectedly, and plans may take unforeseen detours. Yet every delay, every challenge, and every twist carries a hidden intelligence. By stepping back and trusting, we allow these lessons to reveal themselves fully. We see that what seemed like setbacks are often necessary steps, guiding us toward growth, understanding, and alignment. When you trust the unfolding, you also release fear. Fear thrives on uncertainty, on the illusion that life must be controlled to avoid disaster. Trust diminishes this fear, allowing you to act from a place of confidence rather than panic. You begin to notice that life supports you in ways you could not orchestrate. That synchronistic events, helpful people, and timely opportunities appear just when they are needed most. Moreover, trust strengthens your inner resilience. You learn to navigate change gracefully, to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively, and to maintain calm in the face of unpredictability. This inner steadiness becomes magnetic, drawing circumstances into alignment with your highest good. Energy aligns naturally, obstacles dissolve, and progress occurs effortlessly. Ultimately, trusting the unfolding is the culmination of letting go of control, surrendering wisely, and embracing patience, silence, and observation. It is the understanding that life is not a problem to solve, but a mystery to live. By trusting, you allow the universe to move through you, rather than against you, and you discover that everything, every challenge, every opportunity, every moment, is arriving exactly as it should. In trust, there is freedom, peace, and alignment. And in that alignment, a profound truth emerges. The moment you let go and trust the unfolding, life orchestrates itself beautifully, and everything falls perfectly into place.